Well, Paul, it was only a couple days ago we were talking about Sam Reinhardt and just what a cerebral player he was in the hockey IQ. Just what can you say about the intelligence he showed on that game winner there?
Yeah, because he went from 1-on-1 to 1-on-5 into a hole. But it was the change of sides, right? That's really impressive. Draw people to you, release, and then go to open ice. So he does that a lot in the small areas of the game that you almost have to watch on video, right? Just take his line shifts, his puck support, and his recognition of the flow of play is just incredibly good.
Go ahead, Damon.
How do you feel in that moment when that puck goes in?
Oh, pretty good. Yeah. You know, really happy for him and for that line. Worked hard, done all the right things, done all the right pro things, and you like to see those guys get that kind of payoff and then recognition for how important they are. You know, he's a high-end player that accepts what you might call a third-line role happily, develops 2 young players with him, no ego, never once talked about ice time this year. You like those guys to get a payoff.
You get a second period power play. Anthony Duclair scores with a second left. How big was it? You guys, first off, weren't penalized, and to get that very nice goal from Duclair and 2 goals in the second.
It's kind of a low event physicality game as the series goes. The cost of all things gets higher and higher. So it's the least physical game of the 10 that we've played because there's just more attention to detail of sticks. So it was a quieter game with that. We haven't had a lot of power plays, and you can almost see it with the first group, right? You need a certain block of power plays to kind of feel the other team, what they're doing, where to get an advantage. We just haven't had enough to get a feel for what they do. But then that's just a pure ability to get into that hole, to time the hole, to get into the hole, to finish. That's some skill.
Paul, Matthews, Marner, Tavares, Nylander, 0 goals through 3 games. If someone were to tell you that before the series started, what would you say?
Bobrovsky. That'll be the end of that answer.
Well, I was going to ask you generally, I mean, limiting the team in general to 2 goals a game through 3 games. I mean, what outside?
All different games. I think it was a very difficult game for our goaltender to play tonight because we like to open up with about 4 2-on-1s, make him feel real comfortable, and then bump one in, and then some quiet time. So that was mentally a more difficult game for Sergei in my mind than the first 2 because you got into a rhythm in the second one and there was just flurries of great chances. These are playoff games. They just turn on the smallest of plays. There's way more offense than you think because every play is dangerous.
Going back to the Reinhardt-Lundell line, it seems like defensively on the I mean, everyone's been good on the forecheck, but that group especially has been really aggressive. Sam was talking about the communication they kind of have together. Have you seen, I guess, him take his defense up a level, and just what do you like about that group and what they do on the forecheck in particular?
Well, the foundational tell there is all 3 of those guys kill penalties for us. And they're really good at it, actually, in the section of the time that they go out. They do that, and then we have them there because I think in some ways that's their foundation game. Maybe Lundell not so much because he came in as a young scorer. Like he was prolific as a young player before he got here, and it became his game. Young players usually have to become pretty good defensively just to get ice time, right? They got to do the right things or you don't play them, and so they start doing the right things. But all 3 of those guys have a really strong defensive IQ. They're smart. They know their routes, but they don't sit back to run them, right? They've all, like they're almost the polar opposite of the Bennett line. The forecheck is equally effective and completely different at how it's applied, right? One applies it with a hammer, the other with a paintbrush. If that, you know what I'm saying. And if you don't, neither do I, so we're even.
Paul, they came in talking about desperation, must win. They get the lead. They get another lead. Just what were you most pleased with your team, how they handled this game and got it done?
Yeah, it's not a function of Toronto. It's a function of what we've been through. The lead was almost devastating in the Boston series. If you got the lead, you had to open your game, or the other team had to open its game up, and then it just went south for whoever team did that first. So we learned in that series, if the other team gets the lead, we aren't changing early. Like, if we have to push, it'll be real late, send it in your D. And we made that mistake. Game one, we held them to 8 even strength shots through 36 minutes of that game. They ended up with 22 shots in the back half of that game. So we've had some learning. This is not easy to do. It's some world-class, high-end skill, transition skill on that team. So I'll go back to my earlier answer to say Bobrovsky.
You guys have been chasing something the last couple months, it seems like, and through the Boston series. Now you're up 3-0. What's the mindset of the team? What do you tell them going into, Game 4?
Nothing till Game 4. And that's the message. You can enjoy your night a little bit tonight. Enjoy the locker room. And then we have a routine for tomorrow done. We've got a routine in the practice for the next day's done. We've got a routine for the next day. We're not going to get ahead of day. And we're not going to spend a whole lot of time thinking about yesterday. Just handle your day and enjoy your life and enjoy playing.
Paul, knowing that you would play in empty buildings if they told you to, or every game on the road if they told you to, you guys have had some big moments away from here. What was it like to have this one with more than a couple hundred people?
Yeah.
Happy to see it.
Well, we've had 2, right? Like the Game 6 is a big one. That was, I thought at the time you think it's right because your fans have earned you to play another game in front of them, right? In that series, you're down 3-1. That's a big part of the driver, right? You want to bring a game home for them because they've been good, right? And now they're excited. And you also, like, aside from the fans, you want to get a good feeling on home ice because the playoffs tell you that you shouldn't, right? All these series are going, it's way better to be on the road. You do need, especially for the underdog team, the team that gets 3 games, you got to win a home game. You have to. And the team that gets 4 actually maybe doesn't. Maybe they can run on the road. So you got to get a good feel playing in front of your fans, not a tight feeling. You got to be able to get excited in front of your home crowd.
Last question. Just going back to Sergei Bobrovsky for a moment. We've talked throughout the winning streak and throughout the playoffs about the different situations that he's been in and come out on top. Tonight he gives up a goal in the first shot, no wavering at all. At this point of the playoffs, everybody's got skill. But for a goaltender to have that kind of mental wherewithal to show that he can handle whatever situations you've been in, it says a lot about what Bob has been able to do for the team.
Right. I think you want one of 2 things. You want a veteran guy who's seen it all, has got some scars and can handle it, or a kid who has no idea where the hell he is and doesn't care because he's going to play the next 18 years. You know, one of those guys? Sergei's had a tough year, and I don't mean that in a negative way. There were a lot of challenges going in because they didn't start right. Our goaltending struggled early, and then Spencer took over, and then Sergei came in, and he got injured, and then he got sick. And each time that he's been kind of got on a bit of a roll, something challenged him. And each time he's handled it, right? Alex comes in, and he's great, and I throw him in a really, really tough game in that Boston series. So earned confidence by Sergei, and certainly the team has confidence in him.
Thank you guys.
Okay, guys.
Very much.